feel any pressure, but I am going to move forward. So just hurry up, right? 8:13. Let me move my clock over here so I can see it. Okay, go. I think I'll be all right. All right, feel free to continue to eat your food, of course. Real and full. Jerome, you good? We ready? Okay. All right, we're going to jump back into it. So we covered principles of ancient African constitutional law and the fundamental rights of the African people. Covered that beautiful. I'm in your way, I'm sorry. She's like, can you get out of the way, please? Take a picture. Covered that. Now we're going to move into this section where we make a clear distinction. Well, we start to make a distinction. We're not going to go too far in depth today because we're going to go really in depth in the second part of the course. That's why I want you to get all the African history you can get. Because when we start breaking down European thought and behavior, we have to make sure ourselves are establishing our African-centeredness. Y'all with me on that? Yeah. Let's start to make that distinction. African politics versus Western politics. Now, we touched on some of this before when we were talking about the spirituality concepts and the outlook of yourself and how you fit in this universe. All right? We'll pick it up from a political side, though. Political side. So when Africans conducted politics, which you saw in that handout, they formed win-win situations. How can everyone benefit from this particular political setup? Y'all with me on that? But in Western politics, it's a win-lose type of setup. The majority runs the show. The person with the most money to persuade the politician runs the show. Who knows what lobbying is? Lobbying. $3 to $5 billion is spent in lobbying per year. The lobbyist goes to the politician with all types of benefits and monies and bonuses and all types of other things to persuade him to vote and move policy in his favor. Not yours, their favor. Let me ask you a question. Again, $3 to $5 billion is spent in lobbying. How much did you give your politician to represent you? No money. Who do you think is going to represent when he gets in office? He or she gets in office. The person that funded their campaign, gave them all them perks, or you who gave nothing? Win-lose situation is how politics work in the Western world. And just to add a bonus, the central behavior in Western political, in this country, the central political behavior is lying. Okay, so of course in harmony with what Africans are all about, see that second line, we're trying to build harmony with relative to politics. Harmony with, cooperation, we're all connected, cohesiveness, right? In the Western world, it's power over. If you hear, in week 2, you saw that. Power over relationship. I dictate over you. You see it in between Democrats and Republicans. Whoever has the majority in the House, the majority in the Senate, that group has power over the other group. They're not trying to come together for the benefit of the people. It's a power relationship. Are y'all with me on that? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Western politics versus African politics. Again, you see it's right here. Leaders serve. It's about being the voice of the people, and you were quiet until the people told you to speak. African politics. Over here, we know that's not the case. Leaders run the show. I'm the elected, I talk. I get the benefits, I get the perks. Do we get the same health care plan as our elected officials? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. That's a little extra. It really didn't fit. That's what thought it is. All right? Again, politics are about the people. Public welfare. Western politics are about the individual. Private. And the individual, we know, I think back in the early 1900s when they made that move for corporations to be individuals. You know what I'm talking about? So now they hide behind individual relative to corporations, private corporations. And the benefits flow to them. The politics go to the individual and the private sector, the private business, the private corporation. Not for the benefit of the people. Win-lose. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my corporation. I'm coming into your land. I'm going to build these pipelines. I don't care if your water is contaminated. I don't care. I'm making profits. It's about what I want to do, not the will of the people. What do you mean you were here before us? You called indigenous? I don't care. Let me get the president to back me up too. Two-person. Come on, Mom. All right. Again, African politics operated on Ubuntu. I am because we are. It's a community. When I win, you win. If it's a win-lose, we don't do it. Let's rework it. So everyone gets a W. Not how it worked over here in the Western world. Individual egos battling other individual egos. Me versus you. Democrat versus Republican. Man versus woman. Right? Everything's versus and oppose. And whoever loses the battle, you're out. You're considered weak. I can't wait till we get to part 2 and we really start breaking down European thought and behavior. Brand new world. Who's ready to move? Yeah. Come on. That book is so, man, I can't wait to get there. But this is the breakdown, a small introductory breakdown to African politics versus Western politics. This is where we are right here. And we need to shift and get right over here. And a shift is not automatic. Someone actually has to step up and make it happen. Right? Us in this room can do that. Whole new political party. We've never seen before. Boom. Right here. Revolution won't be televised. No clapping. No one's going to pat you on the back. All right? Now, anyone recognize this? I'm going to go somewhere with this. Rosetta Stone. Right? The purpose of the Rosetta Stone. This is what they call hieroglyphics. That's the Egyptian term, or the European term. Metanetra is the right term. Up at the top, they had an African language in the middle, but on this bottom part was Greek. So this is how the Europeans were able to come down and decipher what was being said up here. See that? So they use this tool to be able to tell what's going on in Kemet. Are y'all with me on that? I say that to say, if you measure these 3 things against any system, you'll figure out whether or not it's oppressive or prosperous. Are y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
I want you to write these 3 things down. Here we go. This, when I say politics, this is what I'm talking about. This is the politics I'm talking about. Profits, or the money, the privileges and the benefits, or the rights, the authority, the sovereignty. You apply this formula to any system, and you'll figure out where you stand within that system. And we're going to jump into it in a minute as soon as y'all finish. Marcus, how you doing? Good. All right. I'll wait for y'all to write it down. Profits, privileges and benefits, authority. Man, we're about to get some stuff done right here. This is your political Rosetta Stone. Political discernment tool. Are we good? Anyone still writing? We good? Okay, cool. So profits, privileges and benefits, authority, sovereignty. When I say politics, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what it all comes down to right here. Okay? Now, who gets the profits? Who gets the privileges and authority? Privileges and benefits, the rights. Who gets the authority is usually based on how they're defined. How you're defined equals the type of politics that you're going to get. Y'all ready? So, for example, I'm going to skip nations. No, I'm going to go nations. We'll do nations first. Let's do nations. Relative to America. How does America define black people? Right? Criminal, 3/5, officially 3/5. Right? Less than. Not much. Irrelevant. You don't learn anything about you except slavery. Nothing you'll come before that is of any relevance. You're irrelevant. Who read The Invisible Man? Too much. I'll go too deep. We'll come back. How you're defined, though, is going to dictate the type of politics you get. Based on how black people are defined, now let's look at the politics we have. Do we have the profits? Do we have the money? Do we have privileges and benefits? Do we? Compared to others in this country? Do we? Do we have the authority? Do we call the shots? Okay. Let's go a little deeper than that. Let's go to spirituality. We're looking at spirituality from a political standpoint. Don't throw stones at me yet. Give me a chance. Now, talking about defining. I'm going to use Christianity and Islam. Don't hit me. When the spiritual system comes on, how do they define the people who have adopted the spiritual belief? They're called holy. righteous, believers, speakers of truth, right? What did they call the people who did not convert to that spiritual belief? Heathen, lost, backwards, sinners, pagans, infidels. Now let me ask you a question. In history, you see it. What happens to the people that are called heathen, infidel, lost? What happens to them? Come on. All type of bounds. Do they get any benefits relative to politics? Do they have the authority? People who are lost, do they have the money, the profits? Do they get a share in that? Do they have privileges and benefits? No, they don't. Would you call it a prosperous system or an oppressive system? Ooh, boy. That was tough. I read that before. I was like, yo, that's revealing from a political standpoint. We're going to do some more. Economics. As an employee, I'm just going to push this one in there. As an employee, do you get, what type of profits do you get? What type of privileges and benefits? What type of authority do you have? I'm going to tell you right now when it comes to profits. If you're an employee, understand you get zero share of the profits. Is that right? You get nothing. You have limited privileges and benefits based on the authority that you don't have. Someone else tells you what to do. Can I have this day off? Let me review. Okay. I'll let you go. As an employee, you don't have much. I'm not saying it's oppressive or prosperous, if that's what you choose to do. I'm not going to go there. But I will say this about another side of it. We're talking about defining economics. Athletes that are 18 to 22 years old, when they engage in sports on a collegiate level, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, that's a private business. Nothing to do with college, right? They just sign contracts with them. They take the athletes from 18 to 22 in college, and they make a profit, I'll say, off of those athletes, right? Plenty of good. When you add it all up, billions of dollars. The reason why the athletes, 18 to 22, even though they generate billions of dollars, don't get a piece because they're defined as amateurs, right? You're not a professional, you're an amateur. And that's the only reason they don't get access to the billions of dollars. You've been defined as an amateur. And amateurs don't get this kind of money. So that money comes to, you see, how you're defined is going to dictate your politics. The profits, the privileges and the benefits, the authority. You'll say, well, hold on, Brother Maarifa, hold on. They get free scholarships. Right? Free scholarships. Who's good at math? Oh, no one raised their hand. Who's okay at math? Who's terrible at math? We can work with terrible. The UConn basketball team is, for an example. It doesn't matter if you're familiar with it, just rock with it. When they had Coach Jim Calhoun as the head coach, you remember Jim Calhoun? That year, his last year, they brought in $12 million. 15 players brought in $12 million. Public school, state supported. Cost about $20,000 to put in that school per year. Not no more, but even if it was $30,000. Does that equal up to the millions of dollars those 15 players generated? No, it doesn't. Urban Meyer, head coach of the Ohio State football team. Economics. He's the highest paid state employee in the state of Ohio. Highest paid. Based on the athletes on his football team that I consider amateurs. So they get zero share of the profits. Politics. Is that a system of oppression or a system of prosperity? This is our Rosetta Stone. You can use this formula to figure out any system. Y'all with me? Keep going. Relationships. Ooh. You mean to tell me you can use this in my personal relationship? No one blame me if you break up tonight. Don't blame me. It don't work out. Let me ask you a question. In your relationship, who gets the profits? Who dictates what's done with the money?
My wife.
Who gets the privileges and the benefits? I know in European relationships, remember, Europeans are about power over, right? So one person in a European relationship has to wear the pants, right? One person has to be the head, wear those pants.
The neck.
They say a lot of different things. Right? That's how the Europeans look at it. It's not a balance. It's not masculine energy being balanced by feminine and feminine being balanced by masculine. It's not that. It's power over. And in patriarchy, women don't have too many rights in a relationship context. We'll combine both of them real quick. Relative to women. Come on. Rosetta Stone, political. Do women get the same pay as men for the same exact job? When this country was founded, were there any women in the room to help organize the country and set things up? Clearly not. Clearly not. Patriotic society. Is patriarchy a system of prosperity or oppression? Easy work. Anytime anyone comes to you with any type of situation, you can immediately say, okay, let me ask you a question. Who gets access to the prophets? Who has the privileges or benefits or the rights? Who has the authority? Who? Then you'll find out where you stand on that side of the equation. You'll find out where this relationship is going to go. Business or otherwise. Citizenship or otherwise. Are y'all with me on that? I think this is a very important thing to understand. Because when people think politics, they're thinking like governor, senator, and they do have something to do with it. Right? Civil rights and all this other kind of stuff. That type of politics. But the real politics is based on this right here. Let me go back to it. Profits, privileges and benefits, who has the authority? We won't talk about it now. But when the European comes out of Europe and he comes to Africa, this is what he's coming for. He sets up his society to where he gets all the profits. He gets all the privileges and benefits, denies the indigenous people, that's us. He takes the authority. He usurps the authority that was already on that land. I'm now in charge. This is how it's going to be. That's the root of colonialism right there. Is that a system of prosperity or a system of oppression? Come on. You can't pull the wool over my eyes now. I know exactly what to look for, how to break it down. Y'all with me on this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Or the next thing real quick. So relative to Western politics, we're going to talk about the architects of Western politics who put this system in place. This is David Hume. David Hume was in the 1700s and 1800s. Very influential in England. All the forefathers of this country, George Washington, the bum, Thomas Jefferson, the bum, and the rest of the bums, borrowed from him. This is what he thought of black people right here. Naturally inferior. Does this match the politics on the document? 3/5 of a person? Do those things match? Okay. Here's another one. This is Charles Montesquieu. The European academies worship these people. This is the foundation of Western politics. He says it's impossible for us to suppose these creatures to be men. Because allowing them to be men, a suspicion would follow that we ourselves aren't Christians. So we can't call them men. The greatest part of the people on the coast of Africa are savages and barbarians. They are without industry and arts. This is in the late 1700s, early 1800s, he says this. This is the key to manipulation. Is this statement wrong at that time? This is wrong? The majority of Africans in the 1700s were on point? I'm going to tell you it's right. They were reduced to savages and barbarians, but by who? Europeans. Remember, enslavement had been going on for over 300 years. There was no development going on in Africa. They were reduced to this. So he can use true statements without the context to push his ideology. Y'all see how they do that? Slick bones, you see that? So this is true at that time. That's because y'all reduced us. That's why they can take pictures at this time period of Africans struggling, and they'll say, this is African right here. This is their culture. That's not our culture. That was oppression they're showing you. That was colonialism they're showing you. And then they switch it up. Y'all see what I'm saying? Y'all follow that point? It's a little tricky. Okay. All right.
The Arabs have been practicing slavery.
We'll get to the Arabs. Easy work. Don't worry about the Arabs. Those are bums too. No disrespect. I'm just going off the political. Is that all right? Y'all forgive me. Y'all forgive me. Here's a big one. This is a very big one. This is, his words were huge in Europe. This is big. German philosopher right here. George Heaton. Relative to Africans, talking about the building of the Western politic, how they're going to conduct themselves based on politics. Exhibits the natural in his completely wild and untamed state, talking about Africans. There is nothing harmonious with humanity to be found in this type of character. Capable of no development or culture. These are the people who started this type of thing, called New Orthodoxy, by Dr. Jacob Carruthers. When I say the last 300 years, I'm referring to these people. Okay? Next one. Enslavement is necessary to the increase of human feeling. Watch this statement now. It's necessary to increase human feeling among the Negroes, to advance them to becoming participants in a higher morality. Slavery makes the African higher in morality. That's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. This is the kind of thing that so-called intellectuals were pushing in Europe, and they adopted this. Look at the bottom one. This is the reason why our African history isn't taught today. One of the number one reasons, this statement right here. After his critique of Africa and its culture, he says, at this point, we leave Africa. Not to mention it again. For it is not a historical part of the world, and has no movement or development to exhibit. Done. Africa at that point goes dark. No study. There's nothing of importance coming from Africa. No need to study. Who has a child in public school right now? Your child doesn't learn anything relative to Africa right now. Because Western society has said, no historical part of the world. Also, this is important why I'm going over this, not trying to bum you out. Very important. These three philosophers and their ideas become the basis for not just political science, which puts the African at the bottom of social development, also psychology, sociology, economics, anthropology. All those different disciplines and so-called social sciences come out, and they all put us on the bottom. And those things are taught in each institution across this country. So you always end up coming back to us being on the bottom according to their social sciences, based on these three people. I believe that's a question on your paper. Y'all with me on that? Very important. So what do we need to do to reverse this particular situation? We already have the blueprint relative to I didn't even tell you. Relative to the political side. The next thing we have to do, though, we talk about the politics are based on how you're defined. We have to redefine based on our history. This is why history is important. It's not just gathering some information. You're restructuring, realigning your mind, yourself, into truth. This is the truth about you. That's why history is important. The real you is what you're getting. And it tells us we're original people. Brilliant, sophisticated, civilized, pioneers, structured, disciplined, creators. I know you'll have more. I stop right there because we can go on and on. We have to redefine who we are and then align our politics, our systems, our way of being according to who we are. Instead of allowing them to control the narrative. 300 years they taught a certain way. To reverse that, no problem. We get back to who we really are. Right here. And that's what African history does. Causes you to know. Y'all with me on that?
Yes, indeed.
Let me apologize. Didn't mean to go over time. By 8:37, I'm going to wrap up. Alright? So now, did we establish the foundation of Africa's prosperity? One of the foundational principles, which are the political policies. Did we do that? Okay? Did we establish Africans as politically sophisticated, civilized, structured, and disciplined? Did we do that? Word? Did we make a distinction between African politics and Western politics? Alright? Did we gain some political discernment using those three areas? Profits, privileges and benefits, the authority. Did we do that? Alright, and did we just now attack how black people are within the Western political system? How it addresses us and then find solutions for it. And remember, at the end of the course, when we get all this information together, that's when we develop a whole new plan. Or you can go on your own. Watch out. Because some of you are organizers yourself. And you can go out and organize even more effectively. Now with me on that. I feel like we're going to be a force when we have this type of information. Y'all with me on that?
I should.
All right, let me hurry. Again, if you want to be a sponsor or vendor, Don't forget to email us, L.of.Intelligence, gmail.com. Did you guys enjoy Chef Danny's food and her selection? All right, cool. So if you want to get involved in that, and the brother over here, or you just email us. Real quick, don't forget to sign the sign-in sheet before you go. If you have not signed it, this is how we can tell if you are here or not. I know some of you aren't going to have 14. You're going to have about 12. So you're going to try to be like, come on, brother. This is really it. I'm just going to tell you, you can't even do it. All right? Shows your commitment. Right? If you want to make a donation, it's no problem. Just come see us. Don't forget to network with each other. I know what a lot of you people do. Outside of your time, you're on point. Share that with somebody. Network with each other. Right? Also, upcoming events. Very quickly, anyone have any upcoming events? I have a couple real quick. Who has something that's coming up like in the next 2 weeks? Anybody? I know Kwanzaa events are at the end of the month. Go ahead, Ms. Ross.
Kwanzaa workshop.
Okay.
Saturday morning, 11 to 1.
This Saturday?
Yes,
Okay.
Batesville Road Library.
Okay.
Then Tuesday night, the history of Kwanzaa.
Okay.
Michael's daughter, Kira. We're discussing Calvin philosophy behind Kwanzaa.
Okay.
Then Wednesday night, we have another family workshop, Kwanzaa family workshop at L.of Constellation.
Okay.
And then Thursday night, history and family workshop repeated at Wallace Stewart. And then December 17th, family workshop at the Rec Center. And then we get into the fun celebration. I'm bringing some flyers next week.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else very quickly? Brianna?
Hi. Saturday, there's an event called Ujama. It's a holiday bakers market. It's all women entrepreneurs. I'll be selling jewelry there. I'm wire wrap stones and things. It's 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Deer Heights Community Center.
Okay. Anybody else? Very quickly? Okay. Upcoming events. The book club. We talked about the book club. Anyone have their book already? Okay. All those who are interested. Here's the thing, real quick. It's December. I kind of miscalculated some things relative to the time available for this particular month. It's looking like we're only going to be able to meet one time this month relative to the book. I'm going to ask the people, is that all right, or do you want to wait till January? Keep in mind, in January, not only do we have the class, we also have the financial seminar, which I haven't even announced yet, happening 2 weekends out of January. What does the people want to do who are involved in the book club? Want to just meet that one time, or you want to wait till January?
Once is fine.
Meet that one time? When I say one time, I'm talking the last week during like December 15th. That last week right there. Not the last week, but the middle week. 2 weeks from now. You don't have to have the book finished. I'm just talking about meeting up and discussing. It's okay, we can move. It sounds like we can move to January. January? Huh? All for January, raise your hand.
Well, damn.
Yeah. And for December, raise your hand. Hey.
January it is.
So January it is. But that'll give you a chance to read the book, and even if you haven't got the book yet, this is the book we're going to start with, Black Neighbor, White Wealth. All right?
So if we have questions before then,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll email them.
Email me or email me.
Yeah. I have questions on the book, so I've already had, like.
That's right. Yeah, you were discussing it before class. That's right. Okay. No problem. All right. Next week, Empire of Kush. Almost be back on the scene. He'll be breaking it all down. Empire of Kush is next week. Start time is going to be 7 o'clock. If you could, bring a friend. Bring a friend, come through. All right? Almost, can you do me a favor? When you come next week, can you do a quick 3 to 5 minute on Camargan? Word. Okay, so you don't want to miss next week. Camargan is a business opportunity you don't want to miss. He developed the whole concept. It's on point. So you don't want to miss next week. Next week also, where's Renee? Renee, what is the name of the group who will be cooking next week?
62 grand chefs.
62 Grand Chefs will be the food vendor next week. What kind of menu items?
Brown stewed chicken, coconut rice, and pimento cabbage.
Off of $5 now. Off of $5. A little somebody. All right? And if any Bibi for Hodie, what does that mean? African liberation. Come on, class. Bibi for Hodie means what?
African liberation.
I gotta know that one. Yeah, all the things you went down. That's it. I went over time. I apologize. I will make sure we're on time next week. I promise. Appreciate everyone coming out.